Hello and welcome back to Dawn Chorus Writes, a miraculous ladybug fanfiction and audio fiction. This is the new series, The Truth Behind the Lie, written by Shika, narrated by Dawn, myself, hello, and it is part of Shika's Wednesday. So I hope you're enjoying it. Make sure you go and send Shika some love and go and check out her other stories. They're all linked down below. Make sure you send me some love by smashing that like button. Comment down below what you think of it and what will happen next. And make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on future parts and series and one-shots to come. And I hope you enjoy. Part 3. Marinette was getting ready for school the next day, excitement and anxiety squirming in her stomach like live snakes. She had daydreamed for the last 2 years about dating Adrien Agreste, but some part of her had concluded it was probably never going to happen because she kept sabotaging herself. But here she was, up 2 hours before she had to leave for school for the first time in her life, with a fake date with Adrien that afternoon after his fencing class, and she was throwing clothes out of her closet with an energy that bordered on manic. Too ladybug, too juvenile, too blah, Tiki, what am I supposed to do? She wailed, falling onto her knees in despair, flinging a black hoodie onto the floor so that the emerald green slogan, "I'm the cat's meow," glared up at her like an insult. And why did Alia even give me that thing?
It was from when she first found out you were Ladybug,
Tiki said, her voice muffled from inside the closet where she was. Sass and Kalki were trying to help her make up her mind about what to wear to school.
She thought it was hilarious, remember?
What about this, Mistress Marinette? Sass declared. He and Kalki flew out with 50s style swing dress in a pale pink with tiny white triangles of lace around the cap sleeves and swirling hem. Oh, it's perfect, guys. Thank you. But wouldn't it be too dressy for school?
Not if you wore this with it and changed your hair a bit,
Tiki replied, dragging out the cropped denim jacket with bright silver buttons. Marinette wrapped the jacket over the dress hanger and liked what she saw.
Now, just wear your normal pink flats and pull your hair up into a high ponytail and you'll be set.
She showered and donned the pink dress and jacket, taking several extra minutes to pull her hair up and curl the long strands that hung past her shoulders, and the tendrils that hung in front of her ears. Adding a bit of mascara and eyeliner, she grabbed her bag and headed downstairs. After breakfast, she went to ask her papa if she could have a box of chocolate croissants. "Sure, sweetie," he boomed, a wide smile on his face. "Who are they for, and how many do you want?" "Just 4, and they're for Adrien," she said, blushing. Oh well, if I'm going to be fake dating the boy of my dreams, then I might as well get used to it. "Ah, Adrien," he replied knowingly as he popped 4 of the freshly baked pastries into the box. "The way to a man's heart is through his stomach, you know. Maybe I should send one of my quiches with you to share for lunch. I know he loves my quiche." "It's not like that, Papa," she murmured, blushing. "He is helping me with a problem at school, like friends do, and I wanted to thank him. That's all." "Not if you keep taking him chocolate croissants," he replied smugly. "They have never failed yet." He leaned in and whispered in a way that disguised his voice from no one. "That's what won your mother over, you know." "Tom, just let the girl be," her mum called from the stairs. "You're taking those to Adrien?" She moved to the counter and bagged up some macaroons to add on top of the box of pastries. "Make sure that boy eats them all. He's far too skinny for a boy his age." "Yes, Mum." Standing on tippy toes, her mother gave her a quick kiss on the cheek and whispered, "And Be careful, Marinette. Lies always catch up with you in the end, even if they are told with good intentions. What? How did you... Sabine patted her shoulder kindly. If you intend to keep your councils of war a secret in the future, you had best not conduct them in our kitchen table. Besides, your father can't keep a secret to save his life, and I think someone is here to see you. Marinette turned round to see Adrian outside the front window, waving at her cheerfully. She felt her heart turn over twice before she could breathe again, and her mother gave her a gentle push towards the door. Don't leave your boyfriend waiting, dear. Boyfriend? Tom's excited voice boomed through the small shop, and Sabine winced. Oh, mooncakes, she muttered, pinching the bridge of her nose as she warded off a headache. I'll deal with him. Go on, Marinette, before he starts planning your wedding cake. Right, love you. Bye, she yelled, making a mad dash for the door of the bakery before her father could unload the bread into the ovens and catch her. Good morning, Marinette, Adrian said, confused by a frantic rush. I thought we could... Let's go now, unless you want to discuss wedding plans with my papa. He stared at her, shock spreading across his face like a blush. Nope, not today. Grabbing her hand, he took off at a run towards the crosswalk and the school beyond. Adrian always liked to run. It made a vivid contrast to the dull, plodding nature of his normal life. It was a kind of freedom, a freedom from restraint, and running as Cat Noir was even more so. But the two of them running pell-mell towards the school half an hour before class started to escape Marinette's hopelessly romantic father, he couldn't help but laugh at the absurdity of it all. It felt good. It reminded him of the better patrols with Ladybug, where it was just them and the sunset, the whole world at their feet. He pulled Marinette around the side of the stairs to be out of sight of the bakery, both laughing and panting in gasps of air. Her giggle tickled his ear. It was such a delightful sound. Most girls, when they giggled around him, were too high-pitched. Chloe's was more abrasive than most, almost grating, while Lila's tilter was as fake and hollow as anything else that came from her. But Marinette's? It shimmered through the air, and he wondered why he had never noticed it before. You have a nice laugh. You're nice all the time, he said softly, grinning at her mischievously and bumping her shoulder gently. She blushed prettily and looked down, rolling her lower lip between her teeth nervously. He almost thought he heard a tiny whimper at his reference to her bout of stammer the afternoon before. Adrian gave the hand he still held a gentle squeeze. It's going to be okay. We're in this together from now on. He had almost said, it's you and me against the world. That is something he had only ever said to Ladybug, but it felt like he and Marinette were heading into battle of some sorts as well, and he wanted her to know she wasn't alone. That reminded him. Here, he said, releasing her hand and holding out a small cluster of white and yellow flowers to her. I thought you might like a little pick-me-up before school, since things are probably going to go crazy sooner or later. She smiled softly at him, and her hand shook as she took the blossoms. Oh, she squeaked, surprised at the touch of the metal in her hand. Yeah, Adrian said, wondering why he was blushing all of a sudden. That's called nosegays. Over 100 years ago, people used to exchange these back and forth to send secret messages made of flowers. They have different meaning, you know. He wasn't sure, but her lips might have twitched. You mean how a red rose means romantic, love or passion, and yellow rose means friendship or jealousy. He nodded. I've never told anyone this, but my mother loved flowers, and when I was little, she taught me all the major flowers and plants and their meanings. He didn't add that his mother had told him that one day he could use it to win over the princess of his heart. It was hardly relevant under the circumstances, and he felt Marinette could really use a morale boost before charging into the fray once more. She gave me this when I was younger, and I thought you would appreciate it as much as I did. Her eyes widened. Adrien, I can't accept. He grinned as the words died on her lips. I want you to, Marinette. Please? For me? It would mean a lot to me if you would accept them. She swallowed, closed her eyes, and nodded. He took the small metal vase and secured it to her jacket by looping its dainty chain through a buttonhole so the flowers rested right below her collarbone. There, now you have a reminder that you're not alone anymore, he whispered. White chrysanthemums stand for truth, and yellow nasturtiums present victory in battle. Marinette pulled her jacket close to her face and sniffed the flowers, a dreamy smile on her face. So, you're declaring that the truth will win? How can it not, when I'm fighting side by side with my everyday ladybug? She blushed slightly and settled the nosegays back against her chest, set off nicely by the pale pink of her dress and the dark blue denim of her jacket. You look lovely, Marinette, he said with a smile. Did you make the dress yourself? She nodded. Sometimes I think pretty clothes can give us confidence. If you pick the right outfit, it's like wearing armor or a mask, he murmured. For some reason, she blushed even darker than before. She hurriedly held up the box she had been carrying with the bakery's logo on the top. Here, it's not as good as a gift as yours, but I know how much you like Papa's croissants, so I bought you some chocolate ones, and my mum threw in some macaroons for you. His eyes went wide as he took the box, the contents as amazing as a secret treasure. Taking out one of the croissants, he bit into it, his eyes closing in delight as the buttery pastry practically melted in his mouth, followed by a burst of chocolate ganache. He smiled broadly at the secret treat. His father would throw a fit. He swallowed and whispered, Best pretend girlfriend ever. Marinette giggled. Her eyes sparkled with fun for the first time in a long while. He tucked his box of goodies into his bag, shooting a warning glare at Plagg to leave them alone, before offering her his arm with a slow bow. So, ready to put on a show? She looked at him for a moment, the shadows lurking in her eyes once more. Marinette, he whispered, concerned at how pale she had become. If you've changed your mind about this, I'll understand. We'll find a different way. We can... No, she declared, squaring her shoulders with determination and taking a deep breath. This is just to get Lila off balance while we look for other weaknesses. I can do this. That's my everyday ladybug, he smiled down at her. And ladybug always wins, you know. Only if I have an everyday cat noir to back me up, she murmured, smiling shyly. You've saved me from Akuma's twice, after all. Do you remember? He blinked and rubbed the back of his neck. I did? When had that happened? Which Akumas? He knew he had saved her a few times as Cat Noir, but as Adrien? She nodded, her fingers fiddling nervously with the hem of her jacket. You knocked me down to protect me from Max when he was akumatized in Gamer, and again on Heroes Day when that cloud of red butterflies flew over the school. Oh, I guess I had forgotten. Well, I didn't. She straightened her jacket. In this together? In this together, he answered, wrapping his arms around her shoulder. He pulled her closer. Step when I do, and don't worry, I won't let you fall. If you're nervous, leave the talking to me. Together they stepped out around the staircase and started to climb. The whispers started immediately and swept before them. By the time they got to the courtyard, everyone within range was staring at them. Dude! Nino called, rushing over, his eyes so wide his eyebrows were completely hidden under his cap. What's all this? I could ask the same thing, Alia declared, looking torn between excitement and disappointment. He knew that later emotion too well to mistake its meaning. Hi, Alia, Marinette said calmly, but Adrian could feel her trembling under his arm and squeezed her shoulder to steady her. Girl, don't you hi me. Not when you walk in like this. Alia waggled her finger up and down at the pair of them. Not with Adrian. What happened? What? Am I not allowed to ask out the prettiest girl in school just because she's one of my best friends? He asked, raising an eyebrow at Alia for her intent attitude. That would be pretty hypocritical of you, if that was the case, Alia. He nodded to indicate her and Nino. Alia stared at them open-mouthed. You asked her out, not the other way round. What? Think I'm not good enough for her? He pulled Marinette just a little closer so her head rested on his shoulder. I'll fight you for her. As the challenged, you get your choice of weapons, so will it be swords or dirty looks at 20 paces? She shook her head and chuckled dryly. I get it, Aggress, it's just... Bro, we all thought you were too caught up in Lila to see anyone else, Nino exclaimed. Alia shot him a dark look and nudged him with her elbow. Not that Marinette's not awesome, but... Adrian took a deep breath. Right. First bout, he thought. En garde, prête, allez. I don't know why you say that, Nino, he replied, letting confusion wash over his face. Just because I model with her doesn't mean we are dating or anything, no matter what the pictures look like. He gave Marinette's shoulder a slight squeeze in warning before leaning over and placing a soft kiss on her hair, catching a whiff of sweet almonds and cherries. Besides, if I had my way, I would want to model with Marinette. She is so much more comfortable to be around, and aside from being gorgeous, she's got that whole girl next door look going for her, which my father happens to be working on right now. He looked down at Marinette and smiled softly. Would you mind if I asked my father about you taking Lila's place in some of the shoots, my sweet? I know you're more interested in designing the clothes than you would be in modeling them, but it would be good for you to have experience with how things work behind the scenes. Marinette gasped, her eyes shining. Dropping her bag, she threw her arms around his neck, one foot popping up behind her like a female lead in a classic movie. Adrian, that would be amazing, but you don't have to. I would just be perfectly happy to sit and watch. I don't want you to get into trouble with your father and... Adrian chuckled at her evident happiness. Grasping her waist gently, he swung her around slowly in a circle before settling her back on her feet, staring into her eyes. Careful, sweet, he said, fingering the little nosegays he had given her, drawing the other's attention to the white and yellow blooms. You'll crush your flowers. Marinette smiled at him. Our flowers, she whispered, taking his arm and leaning her head against his shoulder as if every wish she had ever dreamed of had come true. It was such a genuine look, and she held him so lightly that he felt a flutter in his chest when she sighed against him. Wow, she's a natural at this. I really should talk to Father about her modeling with me. She would be 1,000 times better than Lila. Hey, Alia, before we head to class, could you snap a picture of us? He asked, holding out his phone to her. Marinette is looking so pretty today, and I would like a new phone wallpaper. Alia accepted the phone, looking more confused than anything else, and took the picture. He quickly added it to his phone lock screen image. There, now it's official. Their friend crossed her arms, one eyebrow raised. No way, sunshine. It's not official until it's posted to social media. She watched him shrewdly out of narrowed eyes. And I'm the queen of social media. You haven't posted anything about this. We're trying to keep it quiet, Marinette said worriedly. You remember the time with the perfume ad and we ran all over Paris with me in my pajamas? We were just trying to avoid a repeat. Adrian rubbed the back of his neck, embarrassed. Come on, Alia. You know all that stuff is strictly monitored by my father's media team. If I post a new relationship status, it will go viral in minutes, and the last thing I want is my fans to start hounding Marinette, or for my father to step in and mess things up. You know how he gets. Alia looked at him steadily, but her expression was torn between scoop and respecting her friend's wishes. Time to pull out the big guns, he thought. He wrapped both arms around Marinette's shoulders to pull her closer, and he felt her close around his waist. He opened his eyes wide in a pleading expression. He knew people had trouble resisting. At least it had worked that way with Ladybug a time or two. He leaned his head against Marinette's and turned his lost kitten expression on full. Please, Alia, he sighed sadly. I want something that's just for me, you know? Something I chose for myself. This, being with Marinette, it's what I choose. Please don't take it away from me. Come on, babe. You can't crush my bro's dream when he's giving you baby doll eyes, Nino said, his voice quavering as if he would start tearing up at any second. His friend threw his arms around the two of them and added his own pleading look. Alia groaned. Fine, sunshine. Quit with the pleading. Anything to make you happy. However, she levelled a strange look at Marinette and lowered her voice. You know Lila is going to go spare when she finds out, right? Not to mention Chloe, Nino added. Then that's their problem, not ours, Adrian declared, looking down at Marinette. Her eyes were so soft and bright, and she looked genuinely happy for the first time in ages. Maybe it was because she finally had help against Lila, or the fact that they had shaken Alia's idea of what was going on. Or maybe the flowers were her boost of confidence she needed. He didn't know the cause of her happiness, but in that moment, she looked absolutely beautiful. Something in his chest fluttered once more, and he felt a tingling warmth sweep through him at her smile. He was vaguely aware of scooping up a bag for her and mumbling a goodbye to his two friends as he and Marinette walked to class together. They hadn't won the war yet, but the first battle had gone well. He gave Marinette's shoulder one last squeeze before stepping aside to open the door for her, placing his hand over his heart and bowing for effect. Her cheeks blushed that delicate pink again, and she held out a hand for his. He walked to her seat before settling at his own, seeing her notice the slip of green paper sitting on her desk. Turning to his own desk to arrange himself for the day, he listened for any response from behind him. She giggled softly, and when he turned, she smiled at him. Cat seems to approve, she whispered, holding up the note that he knew all too well as he had written it. Show no fear, princess, it read. Here to be dragons, but your knight and champion will always be here. Fight the good fight. Sir Kitty. Thank you for listening to part 3 of The Truth Behind the Lies. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you send loads of love to Shika for writing it. Send me loads of love by smashing that like button. Comment down below what you think of it and what will happen next. And make sure you subscribe. And I hope you're all good. And I will speak to you soon. Bye.